2 p.m. on Monday. Maria Gonzalez climbs the stairs of the mansion carrying her cleaning supplies, hearing a heartbreaking sound. The desperate cries of 2 babies echoing throughout the house. At 25, Maria has been working as a maid in this mansion for 3 weeks, but she never got used to this suffering. The twins have been crying for 3 hours straight today. Yesterday it was 5, and the day before, 6. "Good heavens, these children," he whispers, stopping on the stairs to wipe the sweat from his brow. Alejandro Montemayor appears in the hallway looking lost. At 34, this millionaire businessman looks like he's aged 10 years in the last few weeks. Dark circles under his eyes are deep. His hair is a mess, and he walks like a ghost. "Hope!" he shouts to the housekeeper who comes running up. "It's been more than 2 months since they've been able to sleep well. More than 2 months. Esperanza, a 50-year-old woman who has worked for the family for 20 years, shakes her head sadly. She always writes down everything she sees in the house in an old notebook. "Boss, you need to rest too. This can't go on." "Rest?" Alejandro laughs half-heartedly. "How can I rest listening to my daughters cry like that? What kind of parents am I, Esperanza?" Maria stops climbing the stairs. The pain in that man's voice moves her. She lost a baby a year ago, at 4 months of pregnancy. She knows all too well what it's like to see a child suffer. Alejandro picks up the phone, his hands trembling. "Doctor, it's Alejandro Montemayor again. I know I already spoke to you this morning, but my daughters are in terrible shape. There has to be something I can do." The voice on the phone says something that makes Alejandro even more nervous. "What do you mean you don't know what to do anymore? Pediatricians, neurologists, and baby specialists have already come. I spent more money than I have, and nothing works." He hangs up and bangs his fist against the wall. "Alejandro!" Esperanza runs towards him. "She can't hurt herself too. It's useless, Esperanza. I'm a useless father. I can't even stop my own daughters from crying." Maria watches everything with a heavy heart. She had never seen a man so broken. Their pain is real, raw. It cuts to the soul. The twins' cries grow even louder from the room. Isabella and Sofia, 3 months old, fighting against something no one can understand. "If they don't get better soon, I can't take it anymore," Alejandro whispers, his voice breaking. At 3 in the afternoon, Alejandro runs out of the house carrying the 2 babies in their strollers. "I'm going back to the hospital," Esperanza shouts after him. "They have a fever from crying so much." The mansion gate closes, and the house finally falls silent. Maria sighs with relief, not because of the work, but because those little ones had a moment of peace. "Poor things," she murmurs, finishing her climb upstairs to clean. When she reaches the twins' bedroom door, she stops. The air still smells of baby powder mixed with medicine. There are 2 small cribs, pink and blue decorations, and toys that are never used because the girls never stop crying to play. Maria knows she shouldn't go in there. Alejandro is very strict about who can touch his daughter's room, but something pulls her inside. She picks up a small pink outfit with bunny designs, hugs it to her chest, and closes her eyes. The memory of the baby she lost hits her like a knife. "My little angel," she whispers. "If you had been born, you would be the same age as them." An hour and a half later, the sound of the gate wakes her from her reverie. Alejandro is coming back. Maria runs to leave the room, but she stubs her toe on the dresser and knocks over a bottle of perfume. "Oh my God!" She bends down to pick up the pieces when she hears footsteps on the stairs. "The doctors don't know what to do anymore," Alejandro shouts to Esperanza. "They said they're healthy, but they won't stop crying." She enters the room carrying Isabella in her arms. The baby is red from crying so much, her face swollen, her little fists clenched. "Daddy doesn't know what to do anymore, my little girl," she whispers, lovingly rocking the child. Daddy's lost. Sophia in the stroller is crying too, a sharp, piercing sound. That's when something inexplicable happens. Maria, still bent over gathering the pieces of glass, looks at Isabella and, without thinking, extends her arms. "Can I lift you up a little?" Alejandro, on the verge of exhaustion, doesn't hesitate. She places the baby in Maria's arms. The silence is immediate. Isabella stops crying as if someone had pressed a button. His swollen eyes open and fix on Maria's face. A curious, calm gaze. "What?" Alejandro gasps. Sophia, in the stroller, also stops crying. She turns her little head toward her sister and Maria, as if she understands that something has changed. "It's okay, little one," Maria whispers, gently rocking Isabella. "What was bothering you?" The baby closes her eyes and, for the first time in over 2 months, falls asleep for real. "I can't believe it." Alejandro takes Sophia out of the stroller. The girl calms down immediately when he brings her closer to Maria. "How did you do it?" "I don't know, Mr. Alejandro. I just felt I needed to pick her up." Esperanza appears in the doorway and almost faints. "Virgin of Guadalupe, how did she do it? These girls never stop crying, not even in their sleep." But Alejandro was already seeing it. She stood there, witnessing the impossible unfold before her eyes. "Maria," she whispers, "I've been searching for an answer for 3 months. I've spent a fortune on doctors. And you're just—" "They're sleeping," Maria finishes, her eyes welling with tears. "Truly sleeping." The 3 of them stayed there in silence, watching the twins sleep peacefully for the first time. Isabella was in Maria's arms, Sophia in her father's arms, but snuggled up to the maid. Then they heard purposeful footsteps on the stairs, footsteps that made everyone's blood run cold. "Alejandro!" a female voice echoes down the hall. "I'm here for the girls' appointment." Dr. Victoria del Valle appears in the doorway, a woman who always commands attention. At 38, she's the kind of person who commands respect simply by entering the room. Spotless white coat, hair pulled back in a perfect bun, the upright posture of someone who never loses control. "Alejandro, how are the girls?" She stops mid-sentence when she sees the scene. The twins are asleep. Alejandro smiled for the first time in months, and a maid carried Isabella, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Victoria," Alejandro whispered, trying not to wake the babies. "You're not going to believe this. They finally slept. Maria managed to get them to sleep." Victoria's smile freezes on her face. She's been taking care of this family for 3 years. 3 years since Alejandro's wife died in childbirth. 3 years building a relationship, waiting for the right moment to get closer to him, and now some random maid shows up and does what she, a licensed doctor, couldn't. "Alejandro," he speaks in a controlled voice, "can I talk to you for a minute?" Over there in the hallway. "But Victoria, just look at this." "Are you so calm?" "In the hallway, please." Alejandro senses the serious tone and signals to Maria to stay with the babies. He leaves the room behind the doctor. "Alejandro, do you realize what just happened?" Victoria speaks softly, but with controlled anger. "What? She got my daughters to sleep, Victoria, for the first time in 3 months. And do you know what this woman's qualifications are? Do you know if she has any illnesses? Do you know if she did anything dangerous?" Alejandro frowns. "I hadn't thought of that." "Victoria, she just picked up Isabella and—" "Alejandro, I've been a pediatrician for 15 years. I know how risky these situations can be. 3-month-old babies are very fragile. Anything wrong can cause a serious problem. But they're fine, Victoria. Look how peacefully they're sleeping, for now. But what if it was some kind of chemical reaction? What if something happened to their skin? What if it's something that will harm them later? Victoria's words planted a seed of doubt in Alejandro's weary mind. He always trusted what she said. Victoria saved the twins when they were born prematurely. She is a respected professional and a longtime friend of the family. Inside the room, Maria rocks Isabella, who is fast asleep. Esperanza watches Sofia, who is also resting peacefully in the stroller. "Young man," Esperanza whispers, "how did you do it?" "I don't know, Doña Esperanza. I just felt I needed to help. In 20 years working here, I've never seen anything like it. These girls don't stop crying, not even when they're asleep. And now look at them," she says, pointing to the babies. "Really sleeping. Calm breathing, relaxed little faces, open little hands. It's a true miracle," Esperanza adds. In the hallway, Victoria continues to sow doubt. "Alejandro, I understand your desperation. But as a doctor, I can't allow someone without training to have direct contact with such young babies. It's a matter of responsibility. But Victoria, imagine if something happens to them. Imagine if they develop an allergy or an infection. You'd never forgive yourself. And neither would I, as the responsible doctor." Alejandro runs his hand through his hair. Exhaustion is clouding his judgment. "What do you think I should do? He shouldn't have any more direct contact with the girls, for their sake. In the meantime, I'm going to adjust the medication." Maybe that's what was missing. Inside the room, Maria feels a chill. Something is wrong. Isabella stirs a little in her arms, but continues sleeping. "Doña Esperanza," she whispers, "does the doctor always give the girls medicine?" "Every day, young man. She says it's to calm them down, but it never worked well." "And today? Did she give it to them today?" "Not yet. She arrived a little while ago." Maria paused to think. The twins slept without any medicine, only with affection, only with her touch. That's when Alejandro returns to the room with a serious expression. Maria speaks softly. "Thank you for your help. But Dr. Victoria is right. It's best if he doesn't touch the girls anymore." Maria's heart breaks. "But Mr. Alejandro, they're fine." "I know, but it can be dangerous. You're not a doctor. It could have been luck, or it could have been something that will hurt them later." Maria gently places Isabella in the crib. The baby continues sleeping. "I understand, Mr. Alejandro, but your eyes say it all. You don't understand anything. She knows she helped those children, and now they're keeping her away because of it." Victoria enters the room with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "I'm going to give the girls their medication right now," she announces, taking 2 syringes out of her medical bag. "They're sleeping, doctor," Esperanza remarks. "That's precisely why it's the best time to administer the medicine. They'll sleep even deeper." Maria observes everything, a growing unease in her chest. Something about those syringes doesn't seem right. "Excuse me," she says quietly, and leaves the room. In the hallway, she hears Victoria talking quietly, mostly to herself. She almost ruined everything. Tuesday, 6 in the morning. Maria arrives at work with a heavy heart. All weekend, she couldn't stop thinking about the twins. Were they asleep? Were they all right? When she enters the mansion, she hears exactly what she expected and feared. Crying. Isabella and Sofia are crying in the room, louder and more desperate than before. It's as if they've regressed to their old state, only worse. "They barely slept at all over the weekend," Esperanza remarks when she sees Maria. "The pattern is broken again." "And the doctor's medicine?" "She increased the dose. She said it was necessary to compensate for what happened on Friday." Maria frowns. "Compensate? Why would she need to compensate for the fact that the twins had slept? At 7 o'clock, Dr. Victoria arrives. Today she's different, more determined, more serious. "Where's the maid?" Esperanza asks. "She's cleaning the living room, doctor. Call her. I need to talk to her." Maria runs upstairs, her heart racing. Victoria is waiting for her in the hallway, arms crossed, looking unfriendly. "Maria, right?" "Yes, doctor. I need to make something very clear. You cannot, under any circumstances, touch the children in this house. They are fragile babies, born prematurely. Any wrong contact could cause a serious infection." "But doctor, I was just helping." "You didn't help at all. You created a problem. The girls had a restless weekend because their bodies were disrupted." "Disturbed how?" "Cheap perfumes, cleaning products, bacteria. You work cleaning houses, right? Your hands carry germs that can be dangerous for babies." Every word Victoria says is like a slap in Maria's face. The doctor speaks with an authority that leaves no room for questioning. "Did you understand? You're not touching the children. She's not allowed in their room. If I find out she disobeyed, I'm going to tell Mr. Alejandro to fire her immediately." "Yes, doctor." "Perfect. Now, I'm going to take care of my patients." Victoria enters the twins' room and closes the door. Maria stands in the hallway, humiliated and confused. Did she really do something wrong? Did she hurt the babies unintentionally? Inside the room, Victoria takes a syringe out of the bag. But it's not the same one Alejandro saw on Friday. This one is different, with a clear liquid that has nothing calming about it. "Now we're going to solve this little problem," she whispers, pouring the contents into Isabella's bottle. The liquid is a mild stimulant, tasteless, but it leaves babies restless for hours. Victoria has been using it in small doses for 3 months, ever since the twins were born. Her plan was simple: keep the babies dependent on her medicine, become indispensable to Alejandro, and at the right moment discover the cure and marry him out of gratitude. But on Friday, an ordinary maid nearly destroyed 3 years of planning. Today, Victoria doubles the dose. The twins are going to have a terrible week, and when she adjusts the medication again, Alejandro will be overjoyed. "There, my little ones," he whispers to the babies. "Dad will see that only Aunt Victoria can take care of them." Isabella and Sophia unknowingly take the poisoned bottles. The effects will begin in an hour. In 2 hours, they'll be screaming like they've never screamed before. In the hallway, Maria cleans the floor, listening to the moans that are now growing louder. Her heart clenches, but she can't do anything. She's been forbidden to. At 10 o'clock, Alejandro arrives home from the office and finds his daughters in a crisis worse than all the others. "Victoria!" he shouts into the phone. "They're terrible!" "What medicine did you give them?" "Calm down, Alejandro. It's normal. Their bodies were upset by the contact on Friday. I'm correcting it now." "Will it get worse before it gets better? Will it get worse?" "Unfortunately, yes, but trust me. I've been a doctor for 15 years. I know what I'm doing." Alejandro hangs up the phone and slumps down on the sofa in the bedroom. The twins have been crying for 4 hours straight. It's Tuesday, and they haven't slept well since Sunday. "They're going to die if this keeps up," he whispers to himself, his voice breaking with despair. In the hallway, Maria hears everything and feels tears streaming down her face. Does he know he could help? Does he know the twins would calm down in his arms, but he's forbidden to touch them? That's when she realizes something that leaves her even more intrigued. In the bathroom trash, she sees an empty bottle of children's sedative, the same medicine the doctor said she gave the girls. If she gave them the sedative, Maria thinks, why is the bottle empty in the trash? And why are the girls worse? The seed of suspicion begins to sprout in Maria's heart. Something is wrong. What if the person who's supposed to be caring for the twins is actually hurting them? The baby's cries go through the mansion like a cry for help, a cry that only Maria seems to understand, but she's forbidden to answer. "They're going to die if this keeps up," Alejandro shouts to Victoria on the phone. And for the first time, Maria wonders, is that exactly the intention? Wednesday, noon. Maria works downstairs in the mansion, listening to the twins' cries, which haven't stopped for 8 hours straight. It's a sound that pierces her soul, mainly because she knows she could help. Esperanza appears in the kitchen with the small notebook in her hand and a worried expression. "Young man, can I talk to you?" "Of course, Doña Esperanza. I find what's happening very strange. The girls only got better when you looked after them on Friday, and over the weekend, they were worse than ever." Maria stops cleaning and looks at the housekeeper. "Did you find it strange too?" "Very strange. Is there anything else?" Esperanza looks around to make sure no one is listening. "I've worked here for 20 years. I've never seen a baby cry like that. So it's not normal." "It's not normal, no. And another thing that caught my attention. The doctor comes here every day now. But before the girls were born, she only showed up when the boss called her." Maria feels her heart race. She's not crazy. Something really is wrong. "Doña Esperanza, you write everything down in that little notebook, don't you?" "Yes, I do. It's an old habit of mine. I write down who comes, who goes out, and at what times." "And can you tell me what time the doctor arrives and what time the girls start crying the worst?" Esperanza opens her notebook and flips through the pages. "Look here, Monday. The doctor arrived at 7. She gave medicine at 7:30. The girls started screaming like crazy at 8:30. And yesterday? Tuesday. The doctor arrived at 7. She gave the medicine at 7:15. The girls started to get rowdy at 8:15. Always an hour after the medicine? Always. But that must be normal, right? Sometimes medicine takes a while to work." Maria frowns. If the medicine is meant to calm them down, why do the twins get worse afterward? "Doña Esperanza, did you see what medicine the doctor throws in the trash?" "What do you mean?" "I saw some bottles of children's sedative in the bathroom trash. If she's giving the babies sedatives, why are the bottles empty in the trash?" Esperanza pauses, lost in thought. Now that she mentions it, it's kind of strange, too. Why throw away medicine I don't use? That's when they hear quick footsteps on the stairs. Alejandro comes running down, his hair disheveled, his shirt wrinkled. "Esperanza, where's Victoria? I called her, but she's not answering." "She hasn't arrived yet today, boss. The girls have been screaming for 8 hours. 8 hours, Esperanza. They're going to have seizures if this keeps up." Maria feels her chest tighten, seeing his desperation. "Mr. Alejandro," she says softly, "may I suggest something?" "What?" "What if I tried not giving them the medicine today, just to see if it makes a difference?" Alejandro looks at her as if she's suggested something crazy. "Maria, they're like this precisely because they need the medicine. Victoria explained that her body is, as she said, out of balance. But what if that's not it? What if the medicine is harming them?" "Maria." Alejandro raises his voice. "Victoria is a licensed doctor. She knows what she's doing." Maria lowers her head, but the suspicion in her mind only grows. The phone rings, and Alejandro rushes to answer it. "Victoria, thank God. You need to come here urgently. The girls are in terrible shape." "Calm down, Alejandro. I'll be there in half an hour. In the meantime, you can give them another dose of the medicine. It's in the refrigerator." Alejandro goes to the kitchen and opens the refrigerator. She takes a bottle of clear liquid. "Hope, come help me give the babies their medicine." Maria observes everything and makes a decision. She needs to find out what's really going on. At 2 in the afternoon, she positions herself at the living room window, pretending to clean the glass. From there, she can see the twins' room upstairs. 15 minutes later, Victoria arrives. Maria notices that she doesn't seem as worried as she should. In fact, she even seems relieved. From the window, Maria can see Victoria entering the twins' room. She stares, and what she sees leaves her frozen. Victoria doesn't examine the babies. She doesn't check their temperature. She doesn't listen to their heartbeats. Nothing. She simply takes something from the medical bag and applies it to the bottles. "Doña Esperanza," Maria calls softly. "Come and see something." Esperanza approaches the window. "What is it? Look up there." The doctor isn't examining the girls. She's just putting something in their bottles. Esperanza watches and frowns. How strange. Shouldn't she examine them before giving them medicine? Just then, they see Victoria leaving the room and talking to Alejandro in the hallway. They can't hear, but from her expression, she's reassuring him about something. "Doña Esperanza, when the doctor leaves, could you show me what medicine she left?" "I can, yes." An hour later, Victoria leaves the house. Esperanza and Maria go up to the twins' room. "Look here." Esperanza points to the jar in the refrigerator. This is what she always leaves. Maria takes the bottle and reads the label. "Natural infant calming agent." He reads aloud. "But look at this, Doña Esperanza." He shows her the back of the jar. The lid's been broken. Someone opened it and closed it again. "How do you know?" "I've been cleaning houses for years. I learned to notice these things. Someone messed with this jar." When Esperanza looks more closely, "You're right. The lid is a little crooked." That's when they hear a different kind of crying coming from the cribs. Isabella and Sophia start to get agitated again. "1 hour after the medicine," Maria whispers. "Exactly as you wrote it down." "Oh my God," Esperanza whispers. "Could it be?" "Doña Esperanza, is there anything you can do for me?" "What?" "Tomorrow, when the doctor comes, pretend you forgot something in the room and watch her put something in the medicine. But don't let her notice. And if she notices, then we'll know there's really something wrong." Thursday, 6:30 a.m. Maria arrives at work, anxious to know how the twins spent the night. Esperanza greets her at the door with a relieved expression. "Young man, it's so good you're here. How was your night?" "The boss didn't give them their medicine last night." "And do you know what happened?" "The girls slept for 6 hours straight." 6 hours? First time in months. Yet Maria feels a mixture of relief and confirmation of her suspicions. "And this morning?" "They're still sleeping, but the doctor arrived half an hour ago. She's upstairs." "Did you manage to see her?" "I did, and you won't believe what I saw." Esperanza pulls Maria to a corner of the kitchen and whispers. She took a syringe from her bag and injected something into the medicine bottle, something she'd brought from outside. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. I saw him pierce the bottle cap with the syringe and inject a clear liquid. Holy Virgin! And there's more. After applying it, he tasted a drop on his tongue. Did she try it? To see if it had any flavor. I saw her make a face of approval, as if she were checking to make sure it wasn't obvious. Maria felt her blood run cold. A doctor wouldn't need to test medicine on the tongue unless she were mixing something that shouldn't be there. "Doña Esperanza, we need to speak with Mr. Alejandro." "He won't believe us." "Then we need more evidence." That's when they hear footsteps coming down the stairs. Victoria appears in the kitchen with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "Good morning, girls. The girls are doing great today, sleeping like angels." "That's wonderful, doctor," Esperanza replies, trying to hide her excitement. "I'm going to stop taking my usual medication. You can apply it every 4 hours." Victoria leaves the house, but this time Maria notices something she hadn't noticed before. The doctor is carrying 2 bags, the official medical bag and a small thermal bag. Doña Esperanza, did you see that thermal bag? Yes, I saw it. Do doctors take thermal bags to patients' homes? Not that I know of. Regular medicine doesn't require special refrigeration. Alejandro appears in the kitchen looking much better than he has in recent days. Esperanza, I can't believe the girl slept through the night. Yes, boss. That's great, isn't it? Victoria said. It's because the new medicine is working. Maria and Esperanza exchange glances. They know it wasn't the medicine that worked. It was the absence of it. Mr. Alejandro, Maria ventures, don't you find it strange that they only improved when they didn't take the medicine at night? But they did take it. Victoria adjusted the formula. But you yourself said you didn't give them the medicine last night. Alejandro stops and thinks. That's right. I didn't give them any. I completely forgot. I was so tired and they got better. It was a coincidence. Mr. Alejandro, Esperanza interjects. May I say something? Of course. In 20 years working here, I've learned to observe, and there are some things that are catching my attention. What things? The doctor always slips something into the medicine before leaving it here, and the girls always get worse exactly 1 hour after taking it. Alejandro frowns. Esperanza, are you implying that? I'm not implying anything, boss. I'm just saying what I see. At that moment, the twins' crying starts up again upstairs. Isabella and Sophia woke up and were already getting agitated. Okay, Alejandro sighed. I'm going to give them the medicine. Mr. Alejandro, Maria said quickly, what if we tried one more time without giving it to them, just to be sure? Please, just today. If they get very sick, give them the medicine immediately. Alejandro is torn. On one hand, Victoria's medical advice. On the other, the evidence in her own eyes. She's fine. But if they get really sick, I'll give them the medicine. Maria feels a glimmer of hope growing in her chest. Maybe today they'll discover the truth. At 10 o'clock in the morning, something extraordinary happens. The twins, who woke up crying, gradually calm down on their own, without medicine, without intervention. Just with their dad's love and normal care. I can't believe it, Alejandro whispers, looking at his calm daughters. Now you think there's something wrong with that medicine? Maria asks. Alejandro is about to answer when the phone rings. Alejandro, it's Victoria. How are the girls? They're fine. Great. You gave them their medicine at the right time. Alejandro looks at Maria and Esperanza, who are shaking their heads. Yes, I gave it to her. Perfect. I'll arrive this afternoon to see how they're reacting to the new treatment. When Alejandro hangs up, Maria realizes he lied to Victoria. Why did you lie? Because I want to be sure of something before accusing a doctor of what you're thinking. And how will we be sure? Alejandro is silent for a moment. We're going to test the medicine. Thursday, 2 p.m. Alejandro, Maria, and Esperanza are in the kitchen looking at the medicine bottle Victoria left behind. How are we going to test this? Alejandro asks. My brother is a pharmacy technician, says Esperanza. He can analyze it without anyone knowing. But that's going to take a while. There's another way, interrupts Maria. We can see how the girls react with and without the medicine throughout the day. How? Simple. We divide the day into 2 periods. In the morning, they go without medicine. In the afternoon, when the doctor arrives, we give them the medicine, and we see the difference. Alejandro considers the proposal. What if they get sick? So we stopped immediately and called another doctor. Okay, we'll try. The twins remained calm throughout the morning. They relieve themselves normally, drink their milk without problems, and sleep when they should. Behavior of healthy babies. At 2:30, Victoria arrives for the afternoon visit. "How are my little patients?" "Good," Alejandro replies, observing her attentively. "Excellent. The medicine is working perfectly then." Victoria goes up to the twins' room. Alejandro, Maria, and Esperanza stay downstairs waiting. Half an hour later, Victoria comes downstairs. "Done. I applied the afternoon dose. They'll be very quiet now." As soon as Victoria leaves the house, the three of them rush upstairs to the room. The twins are in their crib, seemingly normal. But Alejandro notices something. Look at their eyes. Isabella and Sophia's eyes are wider than normal, half glassy, as if they were seeing things that don't exist. "Is that normal?" Alejandro asks. "No," Maria replies. "Normal babies don't stare like that." 15 minutes later, like clockwork, the crying begins. But it's not a normal baby's cry. It's the desperate cry of someone who's feeling unwell. "Now I'm sure," Alejandro says, his voice trembling with rage. "He's poisoning my daughters." "What are we going to do?" Esperanza asks. "Let's try it." Alejandro picks up the phone and calls a private doctor he knows. "Dr. Emiliano? This is Alejandro Montemayor. I need you to come to my house urgently to examine my daughters. No, it's not an emergency, but it's important. You can still come today." While Alejandro is on the phone, Maria hears a strange noise in the garden. She looks out the window and sees Victoria standing behind the tree, watching the house. "Doña Esperanza," she whispers. "Look out there." Esperanza looks and turns pale. "He's spying on us." "Why?" "Because he knows we've discovered something." At that moment, Alejandro hangs up the phone. "Dr. Emiliano is coming at 4. We're going to find out exactly what's in the girl's blood. But they don't know that Victoria heard everything from the open window and is already planning her next move. At 3:40, 15 minutes before Dr. Emiliano arrives, the phone rings. "Alejandro, this is the neighborhood police station. We received a serious complaint about your house." "What kind of complaint?" "Someone reported that one of your employees is giving controlled medications to your daughters without a prescription." Alejandro froze. "That's a lie. Sir, we need to go and verify. It's protocol." "But we're on our way." Alejandro hangs up the phone and looks at Maria and Esperanza, desperate. "Someone reported us." "Who?" asks Maria. But deep down, she already knows the answer. 20 minutes later, 2 patrol cars pull up in front of the mansion. 4 officers go up to the twins' room, where they find Alejandro, Maria, and Esperanza caring for the crying babies. "Who is the employee responsible for the baby's medical care?" the sergeant asks. "Nobody," Alejandro replies. "They are being cared for by a doctor. We have information that this woman," he points to Maria, "has been administering medications without authorization." "That's a lie." That's when Victoria appears at the door, accompanied by another police officer. "Sergeant, as I reported by phone, I found evidence that this employee has been drugging the children." She opens the medical bag and takes out a bottle of controlled medication. "I found this hidden in your house." Maria is shocked. "That's not mine. I've never seen that jar in my life. And I also found this." Victoria shows a piece of paper. It contains her notes about medication dosages. Alejandro takes the paper from the police officer. It's a forged prescription, with treatments for Isabella and Sofia, signed by Dr. Maria Gonzalez. "Maria," Alejandro whispers. "How could you?" "Mr. Alejandro, I swear I never wrote that. I don't know how to write prescriptions, and I'm not a doctor." "Ma'am," the sergeant says, "you need to come with us to clear things up." No, I'm innocent. She's the one who planted those things. But as they take Maria away, Victoria approaches Alejandro. I'm sorry, Alejandro. I know you trusted her, but I couldn't let your daughters be at risk. Alejandro looks at the twins, who are still crying, and at Victoria, who now seems to be the only person he can trust. He doesn't notice the discreet, satisfied smile on the doctor's face. Friday, 8 in the morning. Maria wakes up in a cold cell at the police station after a night that seemed endless. She spent hours trying to explain to investigators that she was framed, but no one believes her. "Gonzalez, come visit!" the policeman shouts. He gets up, expecting to see Alejandro, or perhaps Dr. Emiliano, who could confirm his innocence. But it's his mother, Doña Carmen Perez, her face red with shame and anger. "Mom," whispers Maria. "Don't call me Mom," explodes Doña Carmen. "How could you do something like that, poison little creatures?" "Mom, I didn't do anything. It was the doctor who set me up." "Stop lying. It was in the newspaper. It was on television. Everyone in our neighborhood knows you forged prescriptions." Maria feels like her world is collapsing. If her own mother doesn't believe her, who will? "Mom, please listen to me for a second. I don't want to hear anything. You've shamed our family. Your siblings can't even leave the house. But I swear, as far as I'm concerned, you're already dead. I never want to see your face again." Doña Carmen storms out, slamming the door. Maria throws herself on the cell floor and cries like she's never cried before. At noon, the public defender arrives to talk to her. He's a tired man who seems to have seen many similar cases. "Maria, I'm going to be direct with you. The situation is complicated. They have physical evidence against you. But I'm innocent. Look, forging prescriptions is a serious crime. It can take 2 to 8 years in prison. Someone planted those things. The doctor set it all up. You have proof." Maria remains silent. "How can you prove anything from inside a cell? What about the children?" she asks. "How are they? That's not my area. My job is to defend you against the crime you allegedly committed." "Allegedly? Well, technically you're still innocent until proven guilty. But the evidence..." She doesn't need to finish the sentence. Maria understands that even her own lawyer doesn't believe her. That night, an older detainee approaches her in the cell. "First time here? I hope it's the last." "Everyone says that. What crime? They say I forged prescriptions to drug babies." The woman makes a face of disgust. "Messing with creatures is serious business in here. Did you really do that?" "I didn't. I love those creatures more than my own life. So someone screwed you over, dude. And screwed you over big time." Maria spends another sleepless night thinking about Isabella and Sofia. They'll be crying again. Has Victoria given them the stimulants again? Has Alejandro noticed something? On Saturday morning, the news he feared most arrives via a security guard. "Those babies you poisoned were admitted in the early hours." Maria's heart stopped. "What?" "They're in pediatric intensive care, seizures, very high fever. The doctors think it was an overdose of the medicine you gave them." Maria screams and runs toward the cell bars. "No, I didn't give them any medicine. Let me out. I need to talk to someone." "Stay quiet. You're not going anywhere. They're going to die. They don't understand. It's the doctor who's killing them." But nobody listens. To everyone there, she's just another criminal trying to escape responsibility. Maria collapses onto the cell floor, sobbing. Isabella and Sofia are dying, and the person who can save them is locked up in prison. On the other side, in the hospital corridors, Alejandro paces back and forth like a madman. His daughters are connected to machines, fighting for their lives. "How did this happen, Victoria?" he asks for the 10th time. Alejandro, I warned you. The maid was drugging them for weeks. Their bodies accumulated the substance and now they're having a reaction. But they were improving. It was the effect of the drug. Now that we've stopped giving it to them, their bodies are going into withdrawal. Alejandro accepts the explanation because he has no other choice. Victoria is a doctor. She knows what she's talking about. What he doesn't know is that, at this very moment, Victoria is administering even higher doses of stimulants to the twins. Her plan is simple. Make the baby so ill that he'll marry her out of desperation and gratitude when she finally cures them. In prison, Maria receives more devastating news. Gonzalez, your case has gone national. You are the most hated woman in Mexico now. And it was true. The story of the maid who poisoned a businessman's twin babies was playing on every TV channel. Her picture was in every newspaper and website. Protests formed outside the government office, demanding justice. Baby killer, someone shouts from the street. Jail for her! Maria shrinks into the corner of the cell. Her life became a public hell, while the real culprit was treated as a heroine for trying to save the children. But worst of all is knowing that while she rots in a cell, Isabella and Sofia are dying in the arms of the one who actually poisoned them. God, she whispers in the darkness of the cell, if you truly exist, protect those creatures. They don't deserve this. And by some miracle, on the other side of town, someone is starting to ask questions Victoria didn't expect. Sunday, 6 in the morning. At San Jose Hospital, Alejandro hasn't left his daughter's side for 36 hours. Isabella and Sofia are in pediatric intensive care, with monitors showing worrying signs. Fever that won't break, and small seizures that come in waves. How are they, doctor? Alejandro asks Dr. Hernandez, the pediatrician in charge. Stable, but still worrying. We'll have the toxicology results early tomorrow. And until then, we'll keep them hydrated and monitored. Their bodies need to eliminate whatever is necessary naturally. Alejandro runs his hand over his face. 3 days without sleeping well, without eating, without being able to think about anything else. Victoria arrives with a cup of coffee. Alejandro, you need to rest a little. I can't. Look at them, Victoria. I know it's difficult, but they'll be fine, trust me. How can you be so sure? Because I know this type of poisoning. I've seen similar cases. What Alejandro doesn't know is that Victoria is lying. He's never seen anything like this before, because she created this situation herself. Esperanza arrives to visit the twins. As the family's employee for 20 years, she obtained authorization. How was your night, boss? Bad, Esperanza. Very bad. And Maria? Hasn't he gone to visit her yet? Alejandro feels uneasy. After what she did. Boss, Esperanza says softly, can I say something? As someone who's known the family for so long. Tell him. I saw Maria with those girls. I saw the way she cared for them, the affection she had for them. That girl would never hurt a child. But the evidence can be fabricated, boss. But not his heart, and his heart was pure with the girls. Alejandro becomes thoughtful. Deep down, he has his doubts too. Esperanza, do you think I should go talk to her? I think I should at least hear her side of the story. Victoria, who was looking at her cell phone, overhears the conversation and becomes alert. Alejandro, she interrupts. Don't you think it's better to concentrate on the girls now? That woman is only going to make you more anxious. Maybe you're right, but Esperanza isn't giving up. Boss, may I ask a question? Of course. Since Maria was arrested, have the girls gotten better or worse? The question lands like a bombshell. Alejandro had never thought about it that way. They got worse. So, isn't that strange? If she was really poisoning them, shouldn't they be better without her? Victoria feels her heart race. Esperanza's question is dangerous. Esperanza, she replies with medical authority. Poisoning doesn't work that way. The body takes time to eliminate the substances. It's normal for them to get worse before they get better. Ah, I understand. But Esperanza didn't understand anything. In fact, she became even more suspicious. Boss, he whispers as Victoria walks away. Don't you think I should at least talk to Maria? Just to be sure. Alejandro looks at his daughters connected to the machines. Okay, but just to clear this up once and for all, what they don't know is that this decision will begin to unravel 3 years of lies. Monday, 10 in the morning. Alejandro sits in the delegation's visiting room, nervous and angry, but also curious. When Maria appears, he's shocked by the change in her. In 4 days, she seems to have aged years, thin, pale, with dark circles under her eyes that speak volumes. Mr. Alejandro, he says softly. Maria, how are the girls? Why do you care? After what? After what they say you did. Why do I love them more than anything in this world? Alejandro studies her face. He doesn't see malice. He doesn't see lies. He sees real pain. Maria, explain something to me. If you truly love my daughters, why would you do that? Because I didn't, Mr. Alejandro. I swear on my mother's soul that I would never harm those children. But they found evidence that was planted by Dr. Victoria. Maria, that's a very serious accusation. I know, but it's the truth. Maria tells everything. The patterns she and Esperanza discovered. The tampered bottles. How the twins always got worse after the medication. Mr. Alejandro, your daughters only became agitated after she gave them the medication. Did you see that yourself on Thursday? Alejandro recalls. It's true. When he didn't give the medicine, the girls got better. But why would Victoria do something like that? I don't know. I just know she's doing it. Do you have any proof? From inside a cell? How? Alejandro leaves the station, his head fuming. Maria's words make sense, but they're so serious that part of him doesn't want to believe them. Back at the hospital, he finds Dr. Hernandez coming out of the twins' room. Doctor, how are they? Interestingly, they're a little better today. The fever has gone down 1 degree. Really? Yes. If it continues like this, maybe we can remove some of the monitors tomorrow. Alejandro remained thoughtful. The girls were improving in the hospital, far from any medication Victoria was taking. Doctor, may I ask a technical question? Of course. If someone were giving a substance to keep babies agitated, would they get better when they stopped receiving that substance? Doctor said. Hernandez frowns. It would depend on the substance. But yes, if it were a stimulant, for example, they would gradually calm down when they stopped receiving it. And how long would it take? About 2 or 3 days? Why? Just curiosity. But it's not curiosity. Alejandro is starting to put the pieces together. At that moment, Victoria appeared in the hallway. Alejandro, how are the girls? Better. The doctor said their fevers had gone down. That's good, she replies, but her expression doesn't match relief. Victoria, can I ask you a question? Sure. What kind of medication were you giving the girls at home? Natural calming medication. Why? The doctor said they might be improving because they stopped receiving some substance. Wouldn't it be the opposite? Victoria gets nervous. Every case is different, Alejandro. You can't generalize. But you just said you were familiar with this type of poisoning. I am familiar with it, but everybody reacts differently. Alejandro realizes that her answers aren't adding up. Victoria, did you bring any medication to apply today? But I'm going to talk to the doctor. Hernandez first. What medication? Vitamin supplements to aid in recovery. Alejandro doesn't answer, but decides to observe more closely. Tuesday, 8 in the morning. Dr. Hernandez calls Alejandro urgently. Mr. Montemayor, I need to speak with you. Did something happen? The toxicology results for your daughters have arrived. Alejandro felt his stomach clench. So? They have amphetamine in their blood. Amphetamine? It's a very strong stimulant. In babies, it can cause exactly the symptoms your daughters had. Doctor, where could that have come from? Only doctors have access to pure amphetamine, and based on the levels we found, the drug has been administered regularly for about 2 months. Alejandro feels his legs tremble. 2 months. That's when Victoria started treating them. Who is Victoria? The family's personal doctor. Dr. Hernandez becomes serious. Mr. Montemayor, I need to inform you that we are going to report this to the authorities. This is child poisoning. At that moment, Victoria appears in the hallway. Alejandro, how are my patients today? Victoria, he says in a controlled voice. The doctor wants to talk to you. With me? About what? Dr. Hernandez introduces himself. Doctor, this is Dr. Hernandez, head of intensive care. I need to clarify a few points about the treatment you were giving the children. Of course, what points? We found amphetamine in their blood. Victoria pales, but tries to hide it. Amphetamine? Impossible. I only gave them natural sedatives. Do you have the prescription for that painkiller? Of course I do. She searches in the bag, but takes longer than usual. That's strange. I think I left it in the office. Doctor, the doctor continues. Hernandez, the amount of amphetamine indicates regular application for 2 months. Can you explain that? It must have been the maid. She was the one drugging the children. But the maid has been in jail for 5 days, and the amphetamine level in her blood indicates recent administration. Victoria is left speechless. Doctor, I'm going to need you to accompany me on the investigation. Investigation? Poisoning minors is a serious crime. The police are going to want to talk to you. That's when Victoria realizes her world is collapsing, but she still doesn't confess. She's still trying to defend herself. This is a misunderstanding. I've been a respected doctor for 15 years. That's precisely why it's more serious, Dr. Hernandez replies. Alejandro, who had listened to everything in silence, finally speaks. Victoria, look me in the eyes and tell me the truth. Were you giving my daughters amphetamines? Alejandro, I would never. Look me in the eyes. Victoria tries to hold his gaze, but she can't. I can explain. Then explain, but instead of confessing, try to run away. I need to go get the documents from my office. I'll be right back. You're not going anywhere, says Dr. Hernandez. Hospital security has already been contacted. That's when Victoria realizes she has no way out. Tuesday, 2 p.m. In the hospital's secure room, Victoria sits between Alejandro, the doctor, Hernandez, and 2 police investigators. She's still trying to deny everything. I never gave those creatures amphetamines, she insists. Doctor, one of the investigators says, we have the toxicology report, we have the father's statement, and we have his constant presence in the house during the period of intoxication. Coincidence? Do you have any explanation for the amphetamine in the baby's blood? It was the maid. The maid doesn't have access to medical amphetamines. You do. Victoria remains silent. Alejandro can't take it anymore. Victoria, for God's sake, stop with that lie. My daughters almost died. I didn't want them to die. The phrase slips out before he realizes it. It's the first crack in his story. So you admit you gave them something? The investigator asks. Victoria realizes her mistake and tries to backtrack. No, I meant that nobody wanted them to die. Wasn't that what she said? Yes, it was. Alejandro gets up nervously. Victoria, you're a doctor. You know that lying in a criminal investigation is worse for you. I'm not lying. So explain to me why my daughters only got better when they stopped taking your medicine. They didn't get better. Yes, they did. On Thursday, when I didn't give them your medicine, they slept through the night. It was a coincidence. And here in the hospital, without your medicine, they're getting better every day. Victoria is cornered, but she's still holding on. Alejandro, you're very stressed. Aren't you thinking straight? That's when Dr. Hernandez intervenes. Doctor, we have the hospital's security camera footage. She was seen applying something to the creatures last night, during the changing of the guard. Victoria's blood runs cold. What cameras? Intensive care. It has 24-hour monitoring. We want to know what she applied at 3 in the morning. Victoria tries another lie. It was serum. They were dehydrated. The IV fluids don't need to be hidden from the nurses. Why didn't you report it? Victoria has no answer. The researcher leans forward. Doctor, let's make things easier for you. We know he used amphetamines. We have proof. All we want to know now is, why? Victoria looks around the room. Alejandro with hatred in his eyes. Dr. Hernandez shaking his head. Investigators waiting. Understand that it's over. She begins, her voice trembling. Speak, Victoria, Alejandro whispers. At least that's what you owe me. I did it because tears begin to flow. Because I love you, Alejandro. The silence in the room is total. I've loved you for years, ever since your wife died. And I thought that if I took care of the girls, if I became indispensable to them. You poisoned my daughters out of love? Alejandro whispers incredulously. It wasn't to hurt them. It was only so they would need me, so you would see that I was important. Important? You almost killed them. The dose was small, calculated. I'm a doctor. I knew what I was doing. And when Maria managed to calm them down, that's when I had to increase the dose a little. She was going to ruin everything. Increase it? You increase the dose of drugs for my daughters out of jealousy? Victoria is sobbing now. I love you so much. I've been waiting for a chance for years. Alejandro gets up, trembling with rage. That's not love, Victoria. That's madness. Yes, it's love. Everything I did was out of love. Love doesn't hurt innocent creatures. I didn't want to hurt them. I just wanted you to love me. The investigator signals to his colleagues. Doctor, you're under arrest for attempted murder and practicing medicine without a license. As Victoria is taken away, still screaming that she loves Alejandro, he remains in the room, devastated. Doctor, he says to the doctor, Hernandez, I need to go get someone. An innocent person imprisoned for a crime they didn't commit. Well, their daughters are safe now. And for the first time in months, Alejandro knows it's true. Wednesday, 10 in the morning. Alejandro has been at the station for 3 hours, dealing with paperwork and bureaucracy. Even though Victoria confessed, releasing someone from prison isn't simple. Mr. Montemayor, the delegate explained, Ms. Maria will be released today, but the case against her will only be officially dismissed in a few weeks. And she can stay at home in the meantime. She can, yes. And as for compensation for emotional distress, I'll deal with that later. Right now, I just want to get her out of here. At 11:30, Maria finally leaves the cell. 5 days that felt like 5 years. She carries a plastic bag with the few belongings she had when she was arrested. When she sees Alejandro in the hallway, she stops and confronts him. She doesn't smile. She doesn't show relief. Only weariness and deep resentment. Maria. Mr. Alejandro. You're free. Victoria confessed everything. I know. The delegate told me. She was the one poisoning the girls. You were right from the start. Maria laughs, but it's not funny at all. Yes, I was right. But you believed in her for 7 months, and in me for not a single day. The sentence cuts Alejandro short, like a knife. Maria, I know I was wrong. Were you wrong? He shakes his head. Mr. Alejandro, you destroyed my life. My own mother said that I died to her. It was on TV that I'm a baby poisoner. I'm going to fix all that. How? How are you going to fix 5 days of hell? How are you going to make my mother love me again? Alejandro has no answer. Mr. Alejandro, thank you for getting me out of jail, but now I just want to go home and try to pick up the pieces of my life. And the girls? They're missing you. Maria stands in the doorway of the police station. How are they? Getting better every day. Without the poison of victory, they're getting healthy. That's good. Maria, please come back and take care of them. I can't. Why? Because I don't trust you anymore. And she leaves, abandoning Alejandro on the sidewalk, realizing that regaining his trust will be far more difficult than she had imagined. A month later, after a week of persistence, Maria finally agrees to return, but with strict conditions. I'm coming back, she tells Alejandro at his front door, but not as a maid, and I won't be living in the mansion. Whatever you want. I take care of the girls during the day and go back home at night, every day. Okay. I want double what I used to earn, maybe triple, and you stop trying to talk to me about personal matters. We're boss and employee. That's all. In the first few days, the relationship between them is icy. Maria arrives promptly at 7. She takes care of the twins with all the love in the world, but treats Alejandro as if he were invisible. Good morning. Good morning. Did the girls sleep well? Yes, they had their milk at 5. Thank you. And that's it. Nothing more. The twins, on the other hand, are thriving with Maria back. It's as if life has returned to normal for them. They sleep better, eat better, and smile more. But Maria is not well. Alejandro notices that she is having nightmares. Sometimes she screams in her sleep on the living room sofa during the girls' nap time. Other times, she freezes when she hears police sirens. Maria, are you okay? I'm fine. It looks like you didn't sleep. My nights are none of your business. One afternoon, a reporter appears at the mansion's door. May I speak with Maria Gonzalez? Maria turns as white as a sheet. I'm not going to talk to the press, she whispers to Alejandro. Leave it to me. Alejandro goes outside and speaks to the journalist. When he returns, he finds Maria trembling in the bathroom. They're gone. What if they find out where I live? What if they show up at my mom's house again? Alejandro sees that she's having an anxiety attack. Breathe slowly. No one is going to bother you. How can you guarantee that? Because I'm going to hire security for you. I don't need charity. It's not charity. It's my responsibility. I put you in that situation. This is the first time Alejandro has taken real responsibility for what happened. Second month. The routine remains tense, but Alejandro notices small changes. Maria is still cold towards him, but sometimes she forgets and answers a question more naturally. How was the girls' weekend? Isabella wants to crawl. She's always trying to drag herself across the carpet. Really? Isn't she too young? Every baby develops at their own pace. She's curious. Just like you. Maria realizes the conversation has veered off professional and reverts to her cold demeanor. I'm going to make their baby food. One day, Alejandro arrives home and finds Maria crying in the garden while the twins are asleep. Did something happen? Nothing you need to know. Maria, you're crying. Something happened. I went to the market this morning and everyone stared at me. A woman told her grandson that I was the woman who poisoned babies. Alejandro feels his chest tighten. I'm so sorry. It's no use being sorry. The damage is already done. I'm going to give a TV interview. I'm going to explain everything. And he believes it will help. That people will stop seeing me as if I were a monster. Alejandro doesn't know what to say. Maria, let me help. She's already helped me too much. That night, Alejandro calls a well-known journalist and schedules an interview for the following week. If he caused the problem, he's going to try to fix it. Third month. Alejandro's interview is well received. He tells the whole story, takes responsibility for believing Victoria's lies, and publicly apologizes to Maria. Maria Gonzalez is an honest, hard-working woman who was the victim of a criminal doctor. I made the mistake of doubting her when I should have trusted her. I publicly apologize for that. Some newspapers are running reports on the case, showing the other side of the story. Little by little, public opinion is beginning to change. But at home, Maria remains distant. I saw his interview, she remarks one morning. So? It was nice, but it doesn't change what happened. I know, but it's a start. That same month, something important happens. Doña Carmen appears at the mansion. I want to talk to my daughter. Alejandro calls Maria, who tenses up when she sees her mother. Mom, I came to apologize. Maria doesn't respond. I saw his interview on television. I understood that you were telling the truth from the beginning. You didn't believe me when I needed you most. I know, and I'm very sorry. Regret doesn't bring back the days I spent alone in jail. Maria, please. You are my daughter. I love you. You said that I had died to you. Doña Carmen begins to cry. I said silly things. I was angry, ashamed, but you'll always be my daughter. Maria is crying too, but she still can't forgive. I need time, Mom. How much time? I don't know. I just know it's not easy to trust anyone right now. Fourth month. Maria finally agrees to have lunch at her mother's house on a Sunday. It's the first step towards family reconciliation. How are the girls? Asks Doña Carmen. Beautiful. Isabella is already crawling, and Sophia is trying. And the boss? Does he treat you well? He treats me well. I have nothing to complain about. Maria, can I say something? You can. I can see in your eyes that you like him. Mom, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a good man and single. He's my boss. I'm an employee. So what? You're an honest, hard-working, loving woman. Any man would be lucky to have you. Maria remains silent. She hasn't thought of herself as a woman for months, only as the twins' caregiver. Things are changing at the mansion, too. He began to observe Maria more closely, not just as his daughter's nanny, but as a person. He saw how loving, dedicated, and intelligent she was. One afternoon, he found her teaching Isabella how to clap. Okay, little one, clap your hands. Isabella laughs and tries to imitate, but her little hands aren't feeling right. She's learning fast, Alejandro remarks. They're very clever, Maria replies. Both of them. Just like her mother, Maria stops playing with Isabella. They're not my daughters, but you take care of them as if they were. It's my job. Just a job? Maria looks him in the eyes for the first time in months. What does that mean? I see how you look at them, how you take care of them, how they smile when they see you. That's not just work. Mr. Alejandro, and I see how they look at you. To them, you're a mom. I can't be a mom to daughters who aren't mine. Yes, you can. A mom is the one who cares, who loves, who is present. Maria nervously touches Isabella's toy. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know that I admire you very much. It's the first time Alejandro has shown romantic interest, but in a subtle way. 5th and 6th month. The relationship between them gradually intensifies. Conversations that begin about the twins end up focusing on personal matters. Maria, can I ask you something? Perhaps. Why do you have such a gift with children? Maria is silent for a moment. Because I lost one. What, I was pregnant 2 years ago? I lost the baby in the 4th month? Alejandro feels a tightness in his chest. I'm so sorry. That's why I identify so much with his daughters. They're the age my son would be. Son? He was a boy. I was going to name him Miguel. For the first time since she returned, Maria looks directly into his eyes. That's why it hurt so much when you thought I would hurt you. After losing my own son, I would never hurt someone else's child. Alejandro remained silent, understanding for the first time the true extent of the pain he had caused. In June, on the twins' 6-month birthday, Alejandro organized a small party. He invited Doña Carmen, Esperanza, and a few close friends. Thank you for including me, Maria says when he hands her the invitation. Of course, you're part of the family. During the party, Alejandro watches Maria playing with Isabella and Sofia. He smiles genuinely for the first time in months, and he realizes he's in love. At the end of the party, when Maria leaves, he walks her to the gate. Thank you for the party. The girls loved it. Maria, what? You look pretty today. Smiling. She gets embarrassed. Thank you. It's been a while since I've seen you smile like that. Girls make me happy. Only them? Maria looks at him, understanding the question she didn't ask. Good evening, Alejandro. It's the first time in 6 months that she's called him by his name, without a master. 7th month. Things definitely change between them. Maria continues to return to his house every day, but the conversations become longer, more intimate. Alejandro, can I ask you something? Sure. Did you love your wife? Why do you want to know? Curiosity. Alejandro thinks before answering. I learned to love her, but it wasn't love at first sight. How so? The marriage was arranged by our families, but over time I developed affection and respect. And when she died, I thought I would never feel anything for anyone again. And now? Now I've discovered I was wrong. Maria's heart races. Alejandro, can I finish? She nods. I discovered that it's possible to truly love, to love someone for who they are, for the way they care for others, for their strength. I don't know where this is going. I want to get to the point that I fell in love with you. Maria remained silent for a long time. She can't say that. Why? Because I'm afraid. Of what? Of believing him, and then finding out he's lying. I would never lie about this. He's lied about other things. I never lied. I just made a mistake, and I learned my lesson. What lesson? That trusting someone means betting on them, even when everything seems to be against them. Maria feels her eyes fill with tears. Alejandro, I fell in love with you too, but I'm very afraid. Of what? Of being happy and then losing everything again. You're not going to lose. How do you know? Because this time I'm going to fight for you. For us. 8th month. In August, when the twins turn 8 months old, Alejandro finally declares his love for real. They are in the garden watching Isabella and Sofia trying to stand up, leaning on the coffee table. They're almost walking, Maria remarks. And talking too, Isabella said. Mama, yesterday. Was it for you? No. She was looking at you. Maria smiles. It must have been a coincidence. It wasn't. No. She recognizes you as Mom. At that moment, Sophia babbles, "Mom," looking directly at Maria. "Both of us," Alejandro whispers. Maria can't hold back her tears. "Alejandro, what if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't work out? What if it works out?" She looks him in the eyes. "Do you really love me? I love you, more than anything. Even if I'm poor, money doesn't make anyone better or worse. You have something that money can't buy." "What?" "A good heart. And that's what matters. And your family, your friends, what are they going to say? They're going to say I'm the luckiest man in the world." Maria finally smiles. "Okay." "Okay what?" "Okay. I agree to try. I agree to see if it can work out between us." Alejandro pulls her into a gentle embrace. "I love you, Maria. I love you too." 1 year later, in the garden of the same mansion where it all began, Alejandro and Maria marry in a small, moving ceremony. Isabella and Sofia, now 1 year and 4 months old, run around the garden taking their first tentative steps. Doña Carmen sits in the front row, proud of her daughter. Esperanza was promoted to head housekeeper and received a raise. Alejandro's family accepted Maria after getting to know her better. During the ceremony, the twins made everyone laugh when they shouted, "Mama!" in the middle of the vows. "I think they'll approve," the father says, smiling. After the party, when the guests have left, the new family gathers in the girls' room. "They've grown so much," Maria whispers, watching the twins sleeping peacefully. "And they'll grow up knowing they were loved from a very young age by a woman who chose to be their mother." Chose? Yes, because a mother isn't just the one who gives birth. She's the one who chooses to love. Maria smiles and settles down next to her husband. "Thank you." "Why?" "For giving me the opportunity to be a mother and to be happy. Thank you for teaching me what true love is." And far away, in a women's penitentiary, Victoria watches the news report showing the wedding. She lost everything she loved: Alejandro, her career, her freedom. But justice was served. In the mansion, Isabella and Sofia sleep soundly knowing they are loved. And Maria finally understands that sometimes the family we choose is stronger than our blood relatives. Love triumphed, and this time, for good. Did you enjoy this story? Did Victoria get what she deserved? Or was it too little? Let me know in the comments. Until the next story,